It says we're live, so welcome everybody. Let me look in the stream real quick. I don't think there are a lot of people
Are
in
we
there.
on time?
We're on time, actually.
Oh my God.
Let's see. There's Chewy, Anthony, Maria. Welcome. Howdy, howdy. Dee Dee, Maria. Mike's. Howdy, howdy.
I wonder how many people are going to have to go back and watch the start.
There's
I'm going to
Mridul.
go get my iPad while you guys are doing that.
A lot. There's Michelle, Rowan, or Raven. Sorry, my glasses. Thomas. No, Raven. And I'm almost there. Sarah. She's in the Fish Mafia.
Sarah.
If you're here, you're in the Fish Mafia. So I'm kind of watching for Susie. Only Oscars. See you at Bob's Live. Yep. Audio and video's good. Thank you, Maria. There's Pam out there, and in here she's doing like BD. There's Eric Furlow. He's lurking. He's got something going on with his snakes. So Caged Aquatics, Sandy Dowdy, Skull Aquatics, Monica, welcome. Howdy. I think I'm that. And George, Aquaballs, Paul Satera. So thanks everybody for being here, and welcome to everybody that comes in. And we have a very special guest today. And by the way, Mridul is kind of kicking off a spring-summer list of guests that you might not normally see or that you rarely see, and that maybe specialize in things. They're related to what we're doing here, education and fellowship and that kind of stuff. But so we'll have some people that are new to you or that you don't know very well. So looking forward to that. And this panel, I just want to take a minute to mention that every one of these guys is a special channel. They have unique content, and they're channels that I follow, and I hope you guys will too. So there's the Chattanooga Ed. Ed, thank you for coming and being on. I hope you're still recovering well.
Oh, yeah.
And Dee Dee, she's already let me know what's shaking tonight, so I appreciate that. Stephanie, welcome. And Rob at Aquatic Aesthetics, one of my local fish store owners and a good fan. And Pam Sketchy is being sketchy. She went off camera. Yep, there's his sign, Aquatic Aesthetics. Thanks. And I've got the sticker on my trail hitch on the back of my truck. All right, so our special guest tonight is Mridul Singh. Everybody knows Mridul, and I'll bring you on up in a minute, Mridul. Or do you want me to go ahead and bring you up?
Oh, I'm already up. You can leave me.
Leave you there? Okay.
Whatever you're fine with.
Okay. Well, if we get to a point that you're showing, oh, here's somebody. Hold on. It's Susie. It's somebody drinking a big cup of something. I waited.
Huh? What?
Thanks, Bob.
When I went over there, she was like, so I waited on her.
Chugging it.
Right. I know, right?
That's great.
Thanks for coming. Susie is another awesome channel and a good friend. And she has fish and reptiles. And she actually is kind enough to do her live stream and then promote us and come on over here. So be sure and check out Susie Q if you haven't. She's got all kinds of things. And chickens. I mean, she's got it all. She's got something you'll like over there.
I got it all.
That's right. She does have it all. All right. So I was just introducing Mridul, and everybody knows Mridul. He's I always think of him as like Candy 2, T-O-O, not Candy, T-W-O.
He is mighty sweet though.
He is. And also Candy, the moderator. He's pretty amazing. I don't compare to Candy. No, we're not comparing. We have some awesome moderators, I was about to say, and that's exactly what Candy would say. Many times people would say, Candy's the mod or Candy's the queen, and she would always say, there's some other awesome mods here. So exactly like Candy.
But Mridul is the best.
Well, he said he doesn't compare, Pam. Anyway, Mridul he's one of the awesome mods, and if he mods on your channel, you are lucky to have him. It's really special. Before you can even think about sharing something, he's already shared it, and that's the truth. So he's very much like Candy in that sense. So, and he also is very nice, like Dee Dee said. He's very nice. He's fair. He's honest. And he does his job and does an awesome job. So we know him that way, but we don't know him as far as the hobby so much. He does give some excellent advice in some of the streams and puts out some awesome videos. He has his aquariums. He has his plants. He really excels at plants.
Yeah.
And he does. They're awesome. And hopefully we'll get to see some of that. And also he's a composer, and a musician. And if he has...
Myrtle writes music?
Yes, he does.
Oh
Dee
my
Dee.
God, where have you been?
Look
Right.
out.
Dee Dee's
He's like really good.
We need a theme song.
Dee Dee's being funny because she's one of the ones that he wrote a little ditty for, not a little ditty, but and I'm one of those.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. Didn't you
Yeah.
have didn't you have like trouble with YouTube, like
Yeah.
slapping a copyright on it or something?
Yeah.
Yep.
They finally released it.
Yeah.
He did one for me, which really shocked me, but I didn't know then that he'd had troubles, and he sent a certificate of, I guess, ownership or authenticity that it belonged to me, and that, he was, saying it officially did. So, I mean, professional every way you can imagine. So, anyway, he's an awesome...
YouTube can be strange.
They are.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's an awesome Fish Fam member is what I could have said, but I wouldn't have got to say all those nice and very true things about him. So we're going to be very informal. We haven't talked at all about what we were going to talk about. He just kind of said anything and threw out the ideals of fish and plants or music or whatever. So if you have any questions in the chat, Stephanie and Susie are particularly good at watching for questions. Dee Dee also, because she lives out there in that chat. Right, Dee Dee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dee Dee
I've been
goes,
outside all day and the pollen is killing me.
I took off that big
Pollen's
Taylor.
really bad here too. Yeah.
I took off the Taylor's Aquatic logo, and Ed, I put up the Tennessee Fish Mafia, but I don't have like an official link, so that was a picture. So if you'll send me that again, I have it. You sent it to me. See if I can get it out of Dee Dee's face or whoever's there next time.
Ed, put your head up here and rub heads.
Wrong way.
Other way, Ed.
The other way.
There you go.
aw.
All right, there.
Anyway,
Ow.
so I'll start off if that's okay. We've got 50 people in here, and that's pretty awesome. So thanks everybody for coming in. Really appreciate you. Michelle said, oh, so she's talking about a fish auction. Sorry. Get back here where I can read. I have not seen, he's been on just a couple of other streams, and I'm sure this question was asked, but I purposefully didn't see those streams because I wanted to not know anything. So how did you get started in the hobby, Mridul, and how long have you been in it?
Sure. I've been in the hobby since somewhere in between 2007 and 2009. So about since I was 7 years old, roughly. The first tank we got was a 65-gallon. We had bird seed, so we went to get some bird seed at our local pet store. It was a mom and pop. They had birds, reptiles, and fish. They were running a raffle for a 55-gallon. So I said, "What the heck? Let's put a ticket get a tank. We might put a community tank or something." So we won the raffle. That's when we got the first 55. It's not very clear right now what I had in there. I think I had some community. I do remember that it was not the standard regular aquarium that us in the hobby we keep now. It had all sorts of plastic decorations and all that stuff at the very beginning at least. And I learned that the gravel that I had was not really good for the fish because it was leaching off paint. So I took that paint out and then we redid the tank. We put in a few life plants. We had fish breed in there, so we got more tanks, and that's basically how I started with 5 gallons I won in a raffle.
Right.
Yep. And I just filed down to where I am now. And the highest I've ever gotten was 63 tanks at one time. We had it running in the garage. They tore that down about 4 years ago. since I'm in college now, but 63 tanks was the largest I've ever had. So.
What did you do with all those fish when you tore it down?
Most of them they went on Craigslist for people to come over and take away. They went to my I have an LFS that's really good around in the area, so I gave some of them the fish because they were really good to me when I would bring fish. So I just gave it away. The tanks and all, except for one spare tank that I kept just in case something leaked in the big tank that I have right now. Everything else got sold for the best offer that I got. So 50 cents a gallon was the highest I would take because I need to get them. I need to get rid of them as fast as I could. I gave away all the lights. I sold some of the expensive ones, but yeah, that and the fish. They all went to people I knew, so that's a good thing.
Sarah Seaver, aka the Savannah Darter. And by the way, if you're here, you're officially a Tennessee Fish Mafia member, and
Yeah.
you can see Chattanooga Ed or any of us if you don't have a Tennessee Mafia name, and we'll be glad to help you with it. Or if you've got an awesome one, let us know. But
In a long time ago,
Sarah wants to know, Mridul, if you're planning on going to any events in the near future.
In the future, yes, but the coming 2 to 3 probably not ahead of that because my schedule just in the near future. But I am looking forward to one. That's something.
Awesome. I was hoping to see you at Aquaticon.
Bob,
Let's see. Yeah,
Bob, Lunatic Fringe has a question that
Should we-
says,
go ahead.
unless I missed this one, but since Myrtle is from India, do you keep any fish or species from there? Something about the Channa genus is banned here, but some are natives there.
Hold on. Let's see. Apart from glass, smaller, I haven't kept those, but I have kept some fish that are little reef glass. Yeah. But nothing specific. That's only related there.
You know what? Is it just me, or is he really choppy?
It's really choppy.
It's
Very
choppy, yeah.
Is he the only one that's choppy?
Yes.
Is it just me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, buddy. We're having a hard time understanding what you're saying.
The last answer,
Every other
yeah.
syllable's not there.
I'll try coming back in just a sec.
That was better there, Mridul, when you moved
Yeah,
up.
whatever you just did, that
Better
worked.
now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll know
I
when
think you have a voice operated microphone, so you may have to be lean in a little closer.
A little louder. Yep, I'll just start talking from here.
Wow, this says there are 4 people backstage, so let me see.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
What? 4
No,
people?
they're comments. Sorry, comments.
Oh, okay.
Never mind me.
Well, Mridul, what age were you when the last time you were in India? Like even on a vacation or anything?
Yeah, the last time we went was I was 13. That was about 7 or 8 years ago. Yeah, that was the last time I went. But yeah,
Did you ever get the opportunity to see some of the Indian guppies? That
no, I haven't, but I have seen pictures.
they
I
are
haven't seen
so
them.
amazing.
I know.
Did he get choppy again?
I
Yeah.
wish we could get them
Okay.
here in America.
Yeah. If you want to go out and come back in, Mridul,
Yeah,
we'll see if
I'll
that
do
works. Okay.
The
You know,
Indians have like perfected like bright colors on their guppies, like almost fluorescent, and it's
Wow.
just, I mean, it blows you away when you see them. They make glow fish look like nothing.
I'm gonna look them up. What are they called?
Just different types of Indian guppies. That look, you know, like how there's different places in Asia where they do guppy competitions.
Oh wow.
The Indians do their own guppy competition, and they're crazy.
yeah, and they make their breeding look so easy. A lot of them are so natural. Another thing we might try, chat, here he is to mute our channels. Remember when Dan was on, he asked us to do that and
Yeah, that's right.
seemed to help. I don't know. We'll try it.
All right, is it better now?
Oh yeah.
Yes, it is.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
I'm going to mute my channel so I'll be slow to respond.
Okay.
But do you mind, since we can hear you now, answering Chewy's question again? I don't think we
Sure.
got that.
No problem. So Chewy asked if I've kept fish from fish that are native to India. I haven't kept anything that's isolated completely in India. I've kept glass catfish and what are they called? Pea puffers, but nothing like the chana that you said, snakeheads. Snakeheads are illegal in where I live too, so I can't keep those. And I'm not really into monster fish, so none of the bigger snakeheads and everything or the chana. So, but I have kept pea puffers and glass catfish.
Okay. I'm watching the chat for questions panel. Any questions other than fish? Do you have it set up so that you can show us plants
Yeah,
or
I
fish?
tried moving my phone, but the cable on my charger is really unstable right now. So if I move the phone, it stops charging, and if it stops charging, my phone goes dead. So the farthest I can move it is about this much before it stops charging. I don't know if you can see the thing. Maybe a
I
little.
have some questions.
Let me blow my good, Stephanie. Let me bring you up by yourself.
It stops charging if I move it past this. So this is.
Oh
the big-
yeah, can see it over there.
Okay.
You moved it back a little, but yeah, I could see it.
Wait, I can move it back a little tiny bit because it stops charging. That is it charging now? There we go. I've got to finish the line.
Awesome. Gonna leave you up for a bit if that's okay. Look over there. Hey there. Good to meet you. Hey there.
Yeah.
You're not a postage stamp now on my phone. What you got, Stephanie?
I apologize in advance if I missed this, but I know you're in school.
Mhm.
How much further do you have to go until you're out of school?
I have about 2 years left. So I'm currently finishing my sophomore year, so junior and senior year.
Nice. And do you mind me asking like what you're getting your degree in? Although I think I might already know the answer.
Sure. My degree is going to be in information systems, which is a part of IT.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Very cool. And what is your favorite plant? And have you gotten any new plants lately?
Okay. So favorite plant, I'm going to first off say it's going to be stems. I like stem plants and rosettes. My favorite plant currently is going to be Ludwigia X lacustris, which is a hybrid stem plant between two different Ludwigias. Um, I do not have it in this hand, so I can't show pictures of it. But it's a bronze-colored stem plant. It's Bob pushing buttons. It's a bronze.
Yeah, I thought I could figure it out this time because I played with it, but I don't know how the hell people get it to do what I'm trying to do. So,
Hey, Bob, is that a giant moss
No.
ball in that tank?
what, this one here?
There's one right behind it.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to get out of here.
So Stephanie, what was the second part of your question? Favorite plant, and then
Have you gotten any new plants lately?
plants lately. I haven't gotten new plants lately, but when I said this tank up, I did get a whole bunch of crypts. Oh, now you see it. I did get a whole bunch of crypts. So
Crips. Which kind of crips did you get?
I got crypt Becketi, spiralis. Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
Crypt tropic, crypt parva. Most of the crypts that I've kept before. So yeah, I wanted some easy crypts to keep in a dorm room tank that don't need much care of CO2 and everything.
Okay, sorry to monopolize the conversation, but do you run CO2?
Not. I used to run CO2 when I had the fish room in the garage. But since I only feed the tank that I have at home, the 29-gallon, 2 days a week, Saturdays and Sundays, and I have a majority of stems in there. If I ran CO2, they would grow way too fast for me to trim them every week, and I can't have my parents snipping stems every 2 days. So that's why I took off the CO2 when I took down the fish room.
when you
So I
started
switched down
keeping
below
plants,
there.
how did you
I had to
get your
stop
plants?
charging up here. I had to move this. Most of my plants come from online retailers and local fish stores. Well, online as in small independent people who I met from online, from the fish tank basically, and all that stuff. Um, some I used to get plants a long time ago from Facebook groups, like the Rare Plant Facebook group, when I used to be on Facebook very often. But yeah, I've collected sometimes from here as well, from waterways in Maryland. Yeah.
So you don't have the fish room in the
But yeah, most
garage
of my plants
anymore?
come from online. No, I torn
So
it down. The garage is turned into a garage again. So as soon as I got into
okay.
college, I decided to tear everything down so that it's easier on my parents and me. Since I'm only there 2 days a week now, it's not fair on them to have to keep 63 tanks in their peak condition.
Mr. Snell Guardians, Annette says, have you been
Yeah.
busy working on, how have you been? Yeah. Oh, she said she's been busy working on some projects. Have you been working on any projects that you can share?
Yeah, I've
Anything
been
going
working
on?
on quite a few projects. I don't have the sheet music with me. Work right now. I think I have some. Hold on. I don't have the ones in progress, but I have what I've done so far, so I can show some of those.
And I thought the Tennessee Fish Mafia was hanging on his wall, but it's an icon on the screen.
Yeah, it's the
When I
icon.
saw you walk behind, I was like, oh, wait a
So
minute.
true, Susie. It looks like it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We,
Yeah, so
you know,
basically just
I think everybody was surprised that you're not taking music in college. Do you take it as a minor?
Everything I do in music is self-taught for
Wow.
writing as well. Only the performance that I've done, I'm only taught in performance. I haven't learned anything about for composition. High school was the last time I took any music classes. Yeah, but it was mainly performing. So I'm trained more as a performer than a writer. So what I do with writing is I read music that I see, and then I learn the tricks of the trade, basically, if you want to say, and that's how I learn my writing. But if the world was a perfect place, I would take music as my major, but things didn't work out.
I said that I wanted to shout him out when he did the other day for Harrison Tropicals. That's Harry, the channel formerly known as Fish Kid. Congratulations on your test. Yeah, that's Fish Kid.
Awesome.
Harrison's his first name, aka Harry.
Yeah, Fish Kid's growing up on us.
He is. I saw you commented on there too, Didi. Looking for comments or questions.
So Mridul, what is your? I know you have like there are smaller tanks right now, right? Which fish do you keep?
Yep. So in the 5 gallon that I have, I've got one betta, and then at home I've got 29 filled with guppies, harlequin boras, 6 or 7 auto singlets.
Very
Oh,
cool.
so you're not at home. Okay.
No, I'm in a dorm right now. Yeah, I'm about an hour away from home.
Okay, cool.
So how often are you able to make it home?
I go home every Saturday and Sunday. That's why I'm not in streams much Saturdays and Sundays. I usually go home on Saturdays and Sundays to hang out with the family. Some quick maintenance on the tank, do the laundry and all that stuff, and then I come back here Monday and Friday.
Awesome.
But that's nice to go home and do your laundry.
For sure.
Better to do it at home. You don't have to pay for the laundry machine. So
Right.
Absolutely. It's expensive in a laundromat.
$125 a load or something like that nowadays.
That's
Did you
just the
say-
market.
Did you say when you started out that you had birds in the family?
Yeah, we still do. We've kept zebra finches for at least 50 years. Yeah. So we have 6 right now, and we have 3 eggs that they're sitting on. So we might have to sell some because they're getting crowded. But we've kept birds for a while.
Wow. I didn't hear if you said what kind. Sorry.
Oh, zebra finches. They're the
Oh,
ones.
yeah,
Pictures that I sent to Pam. The ones
Oh
that-
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Little peepers.
Yep.
Mhm.
I used to keep those in a big cage on my deck in Florida or out on my balcony, and a cat pulled the cage down once and about half got away. But I saw them for several years after that. They would still come around and eat, and with babies and stuff. So I actually added to the problem down there.
Well,
Is
no,
everyone?
anything.
I was gonna say, is everyone able to hear Myrtle? Okay.
He's
Yeah.
cracking up a little bit, but I can hear him.
Yeah, I'm able to hear him okay.
All right. Just checking. People
The
in
only
chat.
actress has a question about the CD. She wants to know, what does she play them on? Her car stereo apparently does not play them.
June, everything should play them. If they're not playing on your car, send me an email. But they should be able to play on everything. So that's a good question. If you're not playing on your car stereo, that's a problem. It might be the CD. Like, I'll send you another. If it's, try putting it in a laptop or a CD player. If it doesn't work then as well, then we'll see. But the way I wrote them was to make sure that they play on anything. So.
I remember back in the Napster days and all that, if you forgot to close them or whatever, I can't remember now, they wouldn't play.
Oh yeah, remember that?
Oh,
Yeah. Wow. I can't remember what you did, but
Scotty says, "Is there a way to get your music digitally? No CD player."
For the CD player, for digital music, apart from the stuff that I put on my YouTube, I do post some songs on what is it called? Spotify and Apple Music. They are on there, but
Oh, they are? Okay.
yeah, there's some on there, but the majority of the stuff is going to be on the YouTube or the CD that I put out. So yeah.
There's so many of the new, well, I don't know if any new vehicles have CDs anymore.
no, we don't have one.
I don't either. The last two vehicles. I miss it. Can't
And I
play
have
my
like
old
2,000 CDs, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I went and bought one just for my car and just pulled the old one out so I'd have a CD player.
That doesn't surprise me. And you're always creative and finding a way to get something done.
Myrtle, who is your favorite artist or your favorite band? I'm curious.
Sure. My favorite artist. I don't listen to any modern music per se. I listen more to classical music. Favorite composers would be Mozart, Rachmaninoff, John Williams. He writes good movies, film scores. Hans Zimmer, Kenny Elfman.
Nice.
Anyone who basically writes classical music.
What about Neil Diamond? He's really awesome.
I think I've heard a few. I don't remember.
He's
I
still
don't remember
alive.
the artist as much as I remember the songs themselves. I just let music, when music starts playing, I rarely go back to see who wrote the piece or the name of the song. So I'll recognize a tune, and then 3 months later I'll look at it when it comes on the recommended for you, and I'll say, oh, I've heard this one. So yeah.
Well, Neil Diamond is actually surprisingly super talented, and you might enjoy it. I went to his concert, and he has like a whole orchestra behind him, and it's like on a spinning thing, so that way the whole stadium can sit and watch, and he just goes in circles.
Have you heard this song, Coming to America? I think it's about 20 years old now, maybe older.
Sweet
That was,
Caroline.
like you say, you don't listen
Those
to
are
modern
probably
music.
like 40 years old.
Sweet Caroline.
Sweet
Yeah, 40 years
Caroline.
ahead.
Oh, yep.
Bum, bum, bum.
Chewy's saying something that he suggests you use Bandcamp. I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
In
either.
relation to what?
Well, he's really smart, though.
Yeah, he is. Maria.
Tina.
Posting
Jenny Lynn is
Thank you, Maria.
asking if Myrtle has any hobby interests other than fish and birds, like reptiles, etc.
So my main hobbies are fish, birds, and music. For the reptiles, I used to keep a nose a long time ago, but apart from musk turtles, I kept musk turtles in either a 75 or a 40 breeder. I can't remember which. They were the mini ones, but not the ones that get a little larger. They stayed about magic cops. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Gene said I asked Myrtle if his real name was William or Billy. He said no.
nope.
I wonder why she's asking that. Is there a translation for Myrtle?
Well, I used to remember this. I think it's either purity or clean water. It's one of the two. One of the two is what Myrtle means.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it's purity.
We're still talking about the.
Mridul, what do you think about amusement parks? Do you like them or don't like them?
Yeah, I've been to amusement parks. 3 or 4 years ago, when I was in high school, we went to the Disney World, and we did the parades out there. The parade, they had marching bands march across Main Street and all that stuff. I've been to Disney World, Disneyland on behalf of our high school. We performed in Hershey Park as well, I believe. Six Flags and Busch Gardens. Basically, most of the common ones we performed in. Yeah.
Very cool.
I've never been to Six Flags, but
I like Busch
I'd like to
Gardens.
go before I.
Do you
check out.
get on the roller coasters?
Yeah, I'm a fan of roller coasters. Yeah.
Good.
Hey, Kenny.
We weren't performing all day, so we had 6 or 7 hours off each day that we got to do whatever we wanted. So yeah, roller coasters and heights. Yeah.
Oh, Billy Idol.
Oh,
So Myrtle,
gotcha.
how long ago did you actually like find the Fish Fam and start watching like YouTubers and really kind of start following everyone and start becoming a mod?
So there's a timeline for this. So I started watching YouTube somewhere around 2000, the mid 2010. I started watching YouTube around then. When I started chatting was around 2019, 2020 was when I started chatting in chats. Before then, I used to have an anonymous profile. I think my logo was just M, the thing that YouTube assigned itself, and I had Mr. Music or something was my username back then before I changed it to Mridul Singh. I would post comments with anonymity. In 2019 or so was when I changed my name to Mridul Singh and then started chatting. The first moderation, the channel that I started moderating for was in the beginning basically when the pandemic started. I started chatting more often because we had more time off from school. It was online, so I would interact with the Fish Fam more. Retail channel, Weldon Tanks, Bob, Corey. I started hanging out in Cam's channel, I think the middle or end of 2020 or something. Yeah. About 5 or 6 years, but I've only been engaging completely with Fish Fam for about 3 years.
You may have to lean back up, Myrtle, because it
Yeah, it's
started
kind of really hard to hear.
to break up again.
Is it? See, I'm hearing a hissing sound from the background. Is that why it's cutting out?
A hissing?
It's probably because I'm in the shed and I have my swamp cooler on. I'll turn it off and tell me if it goes away.
No, you don't have to turn the cooler off. Asking if that's coming from my end.
I'm just curious if that's what the hissing is from.
It might be picking up that. I don't know. That's the voice mics are.
I hear the hissing as well, but and I'm keeping my mic muted, so it's very possible it's coming either from Myrtle or somewhere else.
Yeah, I hear it now too, and the cooler's been off for a while.
All right, I'm gonna take mine down too.
Uh-oh.
Here, I'll mute myself too.
Oh, it's me. Scotty said it's me. When I mute, it goes away. Oh, there's no way I can take it off. I've got 20-something tanks in the two big rooms I'm in.
Well, I was getting worried because I thought maybe when somebody's lifting my rock, they're hearing me hiss.
Well, it just went
stay
away.
Closer up. Just stay closer up, Myrtle. We'll be able to hear you better.
I'll stay right here.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it's me because when I mute, it goes away. But I have to ask questions. So,
It's not bad.
I was going to ask, that kind of segues into, and I did mention to Myrtle right before we started that I was going to ask about this. He was talking about modding, and can you share a little bit about what modding means to you, and why you do it and what kind of things you expect to be doing and that kind of thing. Because we're all saying you're a great mod, but that may mean
Sure.
different things from people. And we also talked about that a lot of people say, mod me, give me a wrench. And I don't think they really understand sometimes what that means.
Yep. So modding for me is, I think of it as being the crew of a production for a play or something. It's the crew. They do anything that's needed for the play to get to the audience really well. So be it if a channel creator is talking about a certain product or a link or a topic, I find the mod's duties are to post links to to whatever the channel creators are talking about, share links for their social media things, um, promote their channel and all that stuff. Also control the chat, make sure that nothing is going out of hand, um, getting rid of trolls and fake accounts and all that stuff. Keeping the chat relatively fair, depending on the type of chat it is and what the creator says, keeping it PG or not, all that stuff. Answering questions in the chat. If people have questions, I try to answer them as much as I can. Sharing links whenever something's talked about. All that stuff is what I think of as modding. Basically, helping the channel creator have a successful stream.
Awesome.
Now, in the past, you like if somebody asks a question, a lot of times you go ahead and answer it, in the chat.
Yeah.
About a particular fish. Is it always a fish you've kept, or is it just stuff you remember from reading and learning and watching?
So, what I'm going to say about this is everything that I say is either from something that I've kept myself. If I say I'm not too sure, that means I haven't kept the fish. I'm just giving advice, which I don't do as much because I try to keep the advice that I give from something that I've done. So that's why I don't give any answers for saltwater or fracking because I haven't done much about those two for larger cichlids and all that stuff. I usually try to only give help based on plants and nanofish. So it's only stuff that I've kept.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's just like, wow, you can always seem to answer any kind of question that I have.
No,
popped in
Yep,
there.
yep.
I don't answer when it comes. Well, I don't ignore the question. I try to say it's a good question. I hope someone answers the question for you, but I don't. I only answer the things I know. I don't try to give answers
Smart.
give answers based on articles that you read online or something. I don't. Googling an answer is something I don't really believe in because you
Yeah.
never know if the answer you see in Google actually works for the fish. Like people online, people would say you can keep. I don't know.
It's so hard for some people, not just moderators, but just people in the chat. They always have to give an answer. And sometimes they don't know what the hell they're talking about,
Yep.
And I finally learned, because I've been guilty of that, but I finally learned to say, I don't know, or I haven't kept them. So
Well, there's many
I
times
know a
I've
whole
had
lot
to.
less than I could know than I do know. So
There are many times I've had to tell my customers, refer to Google. However, watch for the bad information.
Yeah.
And you tell them just keep searching until you start seeing repetitive information. And when you start seeing repetitive information, that means that's most likely the actual information that will help you.
Mhm.
And I
Uh,
also, Rob, I tell people to go look, to just do a search, not necessarily Google, but if you go way down on Google, you'll find the people that know what they're talking about, not just a website. Some of the
yes.
blogs where the people that have bred plecos for 400 years, know the answer. And they can tell you, they'll cite their experience and all. That's gold. I mean, that's really going for what really is out there. So rather than watching a channel that may or may not, they can only give their one experience, and an expert fish keeper will say, "In my experience,"
Yes, absolutely. And also, if you're on a forum, you're going to be able to see someone's experience, most likely with the number of posts. But you can't trust that. But look at what they keep. And most of them are going to have a little tag in the bottom of
At the bottom
all the little fish they keep. If they're really good, if they really know what they're doing, and they've got that much, they're letting you know that. just so that you know that they know what they're talking about. If otherwise, kind of take it with a grain of salt.
Michelle's asking Mridul, switching back to fish. And thank you for talking about the mods. That's not always an easy topic, but I love your answer. I'm going to go back and put that down with a mod job description, because sometimes I wonder, should I do this or should I not do that? Or it's great advice. Michelle says, how many tanks do you have at home now?
Yep. So at home, the one that I got videos from, it's that tank and the one that I have in my dorm. So I only have 2 tanks in my possession at the moment.
I have a follow-up question to that. So when you graduate from college and whenever you get out of the dorm or go back home, are you going to get more tanks? And aside from the ones that you have, like what would you get?
Yep. Oh, definitely.
What fish?
Yep. I'm definitely going to get more tanks back. Not certainly the 63 that I have, but I'm going to get at least 5 or 6 more tanks, because I do have some things that I have planned that I want to keep that I can't keep in the tanks that I have right now.
Right.
And I need more space for plants. You can never have enough tanks when it comes to keeping plants. So
Right.
the square area, the square footage is really important to make sure you have enough.
The real estate, yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah, the Savannah Darter, has a question that kind of segues right into what you just answered. Yeah, and in the 5 years, I guess, would be the follow-up to that.
I can follow up in 5 years. In 5 years, I do see myself having at least 10 or 15 tanks. Getting back into the breeding that I used to do, plant propagation. Yeah, I would like to get back into immersed plants. Like, I do keep some plants immersed right now, but I really want to set up either a greenhouse or just a tank with ceramic wrap on the top that grows some immersed plants. Yeah. So Gina, I'm going to Towson University, which is in Maryland.
I didn't you see that?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I'll see it. All right. So, what are your plans the second month? June says.
The second month? I'm sorry, I missed something.
Yeah, you do all the other stuff the first month after you get out of school. What do you do the second month?
Probably get 30 more tanks. I don't know. I know myself. If I get 1 tank, I'm gonna get another tank, and then I'm gonna get back to having 90 tanks. But I try to say that I'm not gonna keep that many tanks, so that if I end up, so that I can say, so I can kind of self-moderate myself. I know that I'm not gonna do it. So.
Now, would you go and get like 40? Do you think you'll be getting 10s to do like smaller projects, or
probably smaller projects? I do keep nanofish. I don't really need the need for keeping large tanks again. I did have large tanks in the past, but I think keeping it in a medium, 10 to 20, all the way up to 75, that's a good range for tanks. Anything larger than that, it becomes you need a fish house basically to keep them there. Living in an apartment, you can't really keep a 240 upstairs. You have to keep it in the garage. So, yeah, I'm gonna definitely stay on the smaller side from now on.
How were you able to convince your father to let you take over the garage?
That's a good, in the beginning, I don't know, but I think it's because they were so into birds that they knew that if you get into a certain pet hobby, you do need space. And they weren't really interested in fish, but they did see how interested I was. And at that time, we the weather was not that bad. In the summer, he said we can have a fish garage, and then he said, okay, it's winter now. We might have to turn the fish room down. But then he said, but it took so long to set it up. Might as well keep it on. So once I took off, it wasn't the full garage anyway. It was half the garage because we still needed space to put storage and everything. So that half garage that we had, he just said you can have that half that's empty right now, and if we need space to put the car back in, we'll tear it down. But then it took so much effort to put it up that we kept it up. So, but yeah.
So that's the trick, is to get them to help you build it. Mm-hmm. That way they don't want to undo their own work.
Yep, they saw all the cinder blocks and 2x4s, and they said, okay, well, if we tear it down, what are we going to do with all of them? So, yeah.
I'm just going to add to what Paul said a minute ago about quote unquote so-called experts, and he didn't name any names, and that's good, but it's true. Just because I've kept fish since I was 7, and y'all are like, yeah, whatever. But I don't claim to be, because I'm not an expert on any one fish
Oh,
or any way to
I'm
breed.
not an expert either. I've just kept them as a
But
hobby. I haven't studied the fish or anything.
but what he's saying is people will get on because they've kept fish, and people will actually use that as a to say I've only kept, or I have kept fish 2 years now, so I'm an expert, or I've kept fish my whole life. But the whole point about keeping fish and going on educational forums and channels is that things constantly evolve. Some things will never change, like the nitrogen cycle, but some things we get new information, and science is always progressing, and that's the main reason that I follow, not so much for the social, but to keep up with things. Things are a whole lot different than they were even 20 years ago. So,
Yes, absolutely. And the one thing I've learned online is when you see someone and you're asking a question, and you've got a little bit of dispute with what they say, and they say, who's the expert, me or you? At that point, you need to stop listening to them.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
need to follow up exactly like you said, Bob. They need to follow up on technology, or not necessarily technology, but the science of what changes. Even
yeah,
the cycle itself, a lot has changed just in the last 3 years on getting the cycle done. We can get a
right,
cycle done in 24 to 48 hours now.
right.
Yeah. The life.
Mhm. So I want to tag on to that and just say I think that even though however many years I've been keeping fish, and I can only speak for myself, but I'm always learning every single day.
Right.
Yep.
And I think I'll still be learning in 10 years from now. And
Mhm.
I think if we always keep our minds open to knowledge and learning, even if we have great experience with fish, I think that's an amazing thing, and we'll still keep learning.
Yep. The
Right.
thing to remember
You'll
is nature's been evolving for 4.6. I mean, the Earth itself has been around for 4.6 billion years. So our lives, our general 90, 80 to 75-year life is nothing compared to that 4.6 billion years. We can't learn everything that nature has learned itself in the billions of years that it's been around. It takes millions.
yeah.
Like nature doesn't know it's everything about itself. So how can we put ourselves to know everything
Yeah.
about nature as well?
Well, you'll
Yeah.
be relearning a lot in 10 years.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
what happens. So,
Yes,
and it
absolutely.
keeps it exciting. So you can't do that anymore. You got to do this way now. So
Yep.
it's a great hobby.
Yes, absolutely. Because every time you learn something new, it's like, oh, this is so much easier this time. Because, hey, you know what you're doing finally, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh,
Exactly.
so you don't have to make those mistakes over and over again for 15 years.
All
But,
right.
we could all take a 10-gallon Aqueon tank, the same substrate, the same sponge filter, everything's the same in all the tanks, and we could all put it together, and I bet nobody's tanks would cycle the same exact time.
Yep.
Exactly.
It'll take. Yep.
What Paul's saying there about breaking down your tank every week, when I
Yep.
first started, that was the practice, but I didn't know that because there
Yeah,
was no internet. I didn't have any books yet. I just knew I wanted fish. And what little bit the ladies could teach me at Coons and Woolworths about keeping fish was all I knew. And then eventually I was able to save up and buy a book, when I was like 9 or 10. And so,
Well,
but it's true. You used to break down your tanks completely and clean them.
yeah, now we're gifted with the internet and communication, and we're able to have collective thoughts and back and forth. We couldn't do that before. You had
Yep.
to read a book. Um, you That was your source. Uh, that was it. Honestly,
Yep.
where else would you go?
I still think
Now,
you have to be careful with the internet, though. Like, I think it was only
Yep.
Oscar says, like, use your common sense.
Yeah.
oh, God, yes.
Secret-
Let's talk about one of the real good ones out there about how to help cycle your tank. And one of them involves urinating.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
God.
Yes,
I've
yeah.
heard that.
Ammonia?
Oh,
Uh,
I,
that one hits
works,
a
but it's
forum at
not
least
the best.
once a year. Someone questions it. Hey, I heard you can do this.
Oh, jeez.
It goes further, and we won't even talk about that one because I don't think we can talk about that on YouTube. Um, but
see, I just got
yeah.
used to peeing in my tank, so I didn't have to go to the bathroom. Damn it.
That's funny.
Rob, Mike's Aquatics asked how Tammy's doing.
Oh, she's doing outstanding.
Awesome.
She just walked in the door earlier while I was muted, and we kind of had a conversation, so I missed a little bit of it. But she's now back in the bedroom, and she's walking around. She's back at the store. She's working the helping with the early part, and we're giving Andrew some lesser hours and giving him some time off. He's loving it.
Awesome. June is asking, does anyone learn from others' mistakes? I don't think so. And I agree with that partially, but what I do, really is going back and looking at the people that give their examples of how they learn stuff and their experience back in the vlogs. You won't find them on YouTube because they don't put up with this foolishness.
Yeah.
They know what they know and they're the OGs. So, but there's a wealth of knowledge back in the blogs. If you'll even something 10 years ago, if it's something about breeding or something, that might help you. So in that sense, you might, but you got to go back and look for stuff. In my
Well,
opinion.
when Skipper had that crash when he was sick and his tanks crashed and he
Yeah,
lost several
yeah.
fish, and he said what he thought it was and all that. Well, what, a month and a half later, my tank did the same thing. And the first thing I thought, I said, I bet this is the same thing Skipper had because it sounds like it. So I started doing all my little research and saving my documents, what to do, what causes it, blah, blah, blah. And lo and behold, had he never ever said it, I would have just assumed I had an ick problem
Right.
that I
So
couldn't have
you
fixed.
so you did learn. Stephanie, are you
Yeah.
comfortable sharing your mistake that you credited Maria for questioning and helping you figure it out? Not
God, I've had so
mistake,
many
but
mistakes.
no,
Which one was that?
recently it was actually a bottle of something.
Oh, well, it's an interesting situation, and I know we've got, okay, 7 minutes left, but
Okay.
cycling a tank. So when I'm in the shed. We made a shed, and I pulled my tanks off the rack and got a new rack because the other one was starting to bow. So I have a what is it called? Not a husky, DeWalt. Put them back on. Well, it's taking me forever to cycle my 55 236 tank. It's taken forever. And I did Fritz turbo start, but that stuff has to be in a certain uh, temperature for it to stay, I guess, active or good or whatnot.
Yeah, that was a
So,
question I was going to ask because I sell it at my store. Was it
yeah,
shipped to you cold?
it actually was, but I don't know if it was bad or not. But it just took me for forever to cycle that tank, and it's still an interesting project. It's actually, I think, a good topic for another time, just because we don't have that much time left. But I've done some things and I had to do a lot of water changes and stuff. But it's a mystery. But the thing about what Maria indicated is maybe the beneficial bacteria in a bottle, the Fritz Turbo Start, was bad, and it was just like all ammonia, and that's what I was dumping into my tank, like all
Um,
ammonia, no beneficial bacteria. I don't know, Rob. What do you think?
it's very possible. I just got a quick question. Do you have any plants in that tank right now?
It's a pleco tank. There's no plants. There's some anubias, and that's it.
Okay, because the plant sometimes can provide a phantom cycle because they feed on all three stages of the nitrate or of the cycle, the ammonia, the nitrite, and the nitrate. And I believe the nitrite being their favorite. So sometimes a plant can throw off your cycle. So for those listening, it's best to cycle your tank without plants first, get your bacteria established, then get the plants in. But that's not what you're dealing with.
Yeah, it's
Um,
something really odd.
are
It's
you
worth a conversation because
yeah,
it's going to take a while.
are you getting cloudy water?
Nope.
Okay, so you don't have an ammonia eating bacteria popping up there. Um, is the ammonia rising on you badly or just going away?
So the ammonia's gone, and now I made it through the nitrite phase. Um, and so now my nitrites are pretty low, but I've done something to kind of safeguard my fish from nitrite damage, which that's a whole nother conversation. Um, but they're actually breeding in that tank that still has really low nitrites. It's very odd. Um,
Yeah, I could see that they can handle it in very low amounts. We talk about how toxic they are, and but sometimes it happens, and the bacteria is just running a little slow.
yeah.
Um, it is now as long as it's not getting, I would say on nitrite above like 0.5. That one's going to be the sensitive one.
Yeah.
If you're just seeing a light shade of purple in that water test, I wouldn't be too worried. That's just a little bit of a backup because the nitrite bacteria, the you have the AOB, the ammonia oxidizing bacteria, and the NOB, the nitrite oxidizing bacteria. They replicate at a different rate, 24 hours versus about 40 hours. So you get a little bit of a roadblock at your nitrite. It can build up sometimes, and as long as you just keep it down below 5.0, it won't let it back up too bad on you. Or it won't let the ammonia, the AOB bacteria, stop working.
Mm-hmm.
A very interesting subject, and definitely a conversation to talk
Right,
on it.
because this
Yes,
we could take a whole hour talking
Right,
about
yes.
this
right.
because it's very interesting my experience what it's
Maybe
been
maybe
recently.
we'll talk about this. Remind me, and we'll talk about it when we don't have a guest and when we look into
Yeah,
topics to discuss. It'd be great.
yeah, I'd love to talk about it actually.
All right.
Thanks,
Well,
Rob.
yes. Thank you very much, Rob. I'm taking notes here too. That's why I had my thing on. Anyway, we've just got a minute or so. It looks like,
Wow, that
and
flew by.
yes, it did. Mridul, thank you so much for coming up.
Thanks,
It's been
Rob.
long anticipated.
Yes, it was a pleasure.
And thank you, panel. Always an amazing panel, guys. If you're not subscribed to these guys, you're missing out, I tell you. And thank you, moderators, and have awesome mods, the best mods in the world, I always say. And Merdul is one of those. I'm very lucky to have him on the channel, too. So, and the members and everybody, it all works together to make a great stream. And I think this was one. Merdul, I'll put you on the spot one last time. Any parting advice you could give us to, we always talk about balance and the joy and the work of keeping our pets, our fish tanks and all that. Any advice on how to enjoy them?
Yep. So always, um, if you look at, try to browse your tank for something new every day. You're gonna see something. You're at least one thing you're gonna see new every day. If you make a mistake, do not think it as the end of the world. You're gonna get through it. Everything that happens in your tank has a solution. You plants. If you're freshwater plants, put plants in your tank. If your fish can have plants in them, plants, plants, plants. That's one of the answers to everything. It reduces fish stress and yeah, plants, plants, and plants. Breeding also happens.
Will you come back
Still
and
don't
do
even
a
feel free.
come back and do a part two? Will you come back and do a part two later?
I'm open to that. Yeah, if my schedule's open.
Okay, awesome. All right, thanks everybody. Let's head over to Danican Aquatics, and
Thanks,
I'll
Mridul.
see you over there.
Yeah,
Thanks,
absolutely.
Mridul.
Thank
Take your time
you.
off. You don't have to keep me on full screen.
I'm trying to get you off. There we go. Thanks everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Let me get you off there.